Welcome back, everyone, to the final round of Swiss here at your EU regional from Glasgow, Scotland. I, of course, am Sam Tate. I've been joined all day by David Toombs and our friend Christopher Bromley, who you will see tomorrow returning for Top Cuts. And David, there have been some requests. There have been some murmurs throughout the tournament. There have been even, dare I say, some disgruntled viewers. However, I had the foresight. I could see into the future, and I knew when the exact perfect time to deliver the overhaul game was, because we have for you right now in the final round of Swiss, table 5, the first table that did not intentionally draw, the first table that is playing for their tournament life, the first table where, frankly, David, this might not matter. We might already have our top 8 decided by draws. However, if either of these players want to make it into Top Cuts, they have to win right here, right now. We've got Barlow Guess on Overhaul versus Kai Tayak on Rodan. David, who's got the advantage in this matchup?
Yeah, well, I was just looking at my Discord. Actually, I noticed that Kai's username was, I think it was called Bubble Boy. So I'm worried that he's kind of jinxed himself here.
Oh no.
He is on the bubble right now. This is a true win and in. I think that actually in the IDs that happened in the top 4 tables, I think Nate DeWalt has pretty much mathematically ID'd himself out of top 8, which means that the winner of this, should we have a winner? Now, if there's a draw here, then maybe neither of these players gets in. So I think that there's a lot of pressure to finish this game within 60 minutes, to have a clean, clear-cut winner, and it's a true win this round, and you are in to the top 8. So the perfect matchup here to finish off Swiss, and 2 really good players, really experienced, playing meta characters. Overhaul is one of the best Massive Mutant Machines characters. We saw at the outset of Massive Mutant Machines becoming legal, everybody was running to Hawks. And then I think Jacob Johnson was the first one to jump onto Overhaul and have some real good results over here. But you can use what is this? It's the Overhaul attack.
It's maximum overhaul?
Maximum, yeah. Maximum overhaul to build the Massive Mutant Machines down from your hand and free build it. And then, of course, we have Rodan. We have Void Rodan. This is the reigning champion character. It's not Phil Birch. Now we've got Kai, but Void Rodan, let's see if Rodan can go back-to-back regionals. Rodan won the last regional. Then we had a major ban list, and they didn't even hit Rodan.
No, it's crazy. Rodan has been pretty prolific in finals of regionals this year. I mean, won a regional, was in the finals of the next regional. I think skipped the international regionals and then came back to be and then skipped one US and then came back to win another regional. So it feels like of the US regionals, it's like 3 out of 4 had a Rodan in the finals. Am I crazy?
Yeah, we started the year with Andrew Porat taking it down in Denver with Rodan. We had I guess we have one more United States regional coming up here in December. What are your thoughts, by the way, on Violent Animus Shot? We have this opener here on Rodan. With 9 Titans banned, are you surprised to see Violent Animus Shot still finding a slot in the main board?
No, absolutely not. The number one reason why is this is a +1 low block in a symbol that desperately needs quality low blocks. You sometimes get gunked up on the void symbol with too many +3 low blocks, and they're all cards that you really want to play. Like incubating, right, is something that you pretty much always want in your stage as Rodan. But and not now I'm gaming is the other one that's like a brand new card that has been a really important low block. But things like Mikasa defeats the female Titan, these are all cards that you really want in your stage. Especially Mikasa defeats the female Titan. It makes you feel like you can get away with not having a low block because of the response to take no damage when you block with a mid or any other zone, things like that. But this is a +1 low block breaker that also fits into your offense really seamlessly because Violent Animus Shot punishes you for not blocking it, and Rodan's best asset on offense is making attacks hard to block. So we've seen Rodan use tri-gravity beam and hand rip strategies in the past, Violent Animus Shot just complements that so very well. And we've also seen that, cards like Repeated 100% Smash and Ice Sword Execution don't necessarily need their own keywords and their own synergies to be really strong in Rodan. So I'm not surprised to see Violent Animus Shot at all, especially since we've also seen Zeke Jaeger War Chiefs and Hanjis on the loose. So the UK metagame is prime for Violent Animus Shot.
That's true. I was a little surprised actually by the number of backup decks that were represented today. I think that's a good thing for the backup playstyle, that it could survive such a prominent card getting hit on the ban list. One card that I'm a little surprised by, on Overhaul side, on Barlow's side, is we've got this, is it Pump Iron? No, it's called Pump Up. Flip a foundation. If this attack is blocked, seal one rival foundation. Well, against Rodan, Rodan wants to block everything. That could really put in a lot of work this round.
Yeah, Pump Up is kind of an underrated star. A lot of players have kind of gone back and forth on that. The block punishment on it is absolutely incredible. It was a lot better than it used to be. However, you are permanently sacrificing a foundation to answer a foundation only temporarily, right? And as time has gone on, more decks have been really strong at playing defense without blocking, whether it's negating attacks entirely or damage reducing. However, Rodan is the poster child for blocking everything. So I wouldn't be too surprised if Pump Up, combined with Overhaul's desire to flip things, being something that kind of decides the game towards the end of it. We did get to a very deep part of the game very quickly. Both players electing to build out from their hands, kind of testing the waters here with each other to see who can establish a resource advantage first. Barlow was playing a little aggressively, I guess you could say, in the build department, going down to one card at one point. But Kai did not get baited into attacking Overhaul, because Overhaul, for a long time, has been really good at playing defense without cards in hand.
Yeah, he just utilizes his stage as a second hand. And here we saw we checked a 3 on the maximum overhaul. Well, if we wanted to, we could just pick those up. I mean, the committed foundations, we could just pick those up for +1/+1. If we've played a card from, oh, no. We have to have played a card, okay, from outside of our hands. So we can't lead with the maximum. Okay, I'm correcting myself. I'm getting back into Overhaul. It's been since the MHA
Right.
days, since Overhaul has been really at the top tables. It's Massive Mutant Machine has really kind of reawakened this character and reawake. I mean, Maximum Overhaul, when it was first revealed, I thought this attack was game breaking.
Right, I remember that.
Yeah, the potential to grab all, face downs from your stage into your hand. You could either rebuild them, you could grab your attacks from your stage, and you're getting to just free build something face up from your hand. At the time, you had this Moneta Foundation, like sticky balls, where you could flip it, clog their card pool, pick it up, play, build it again, flip it, clog their card pool, do things with like Tongue Whip on the old Earth and Life decks. But yeah, here it is. Massive Mutant Machines has really made this card shine again.
Yeah, even if you don't get all the text on Maximum Overhaul now, it is generally worth it just to be able to fast build the Mutant Machine, or at least to wear the stats. I've always felt like Overhaul could be one of the better characters to play high difficulty cards in general, like we see with the 4-check attacks, because you can't do it, if you can't pass the checks early on the rival's turn when they attack you, you can bank those attacks, generate those resources for later. And we see a late cape here, letting the opponent invest resources into the Maximum Overhaul, letting them commit the Mutant Machine, and then deciding, look, I don't want to deal with that. I don't have a reset that I want to use for that. What I will use is this Cape of No Return. And we see Barlow building out some pretty low impact zero diffs. The surprising skill could come into play against Ice Sword Execution. So maybe not low impact, maybe it shouldn't be the word I use, but Syndicate targets definitely blank, and that's not what you want to see at this point in the game, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're about to count if Barlow is in deadlock.
Yeah, Overhaul with that free build on their face, it's a character that really can turbo build.
Yeah, being able to bank cards that you normally wouldn't be able to build into your stage, We also see cards like Desperate Plea, which greatly enhance that game plan of banking cards into our stage to be played for later. And now we do see the Ice Sword execution coming out immediately. This is typically what you want to see to start off your attack turns late in the game. The likelihood that your rival has multiple copies of impactful foundations that you want to commit so they can't use them is much higher in the late game. However, David, we've got 2 copies of Surprising Skill. No matter what we commit, our rival's almost certainly going to be able to ready it or potentially punish us and make us commit foundation.
Yeah, I love the choice that surprising skill gives you. Either stun one on their turn, or you get to selectively ready one. I think that in a lot of ways, I prefer surprising skill to a card like Keeping Airy safe. Personally, I think it's a little more powerful when it, it's going to be less reusable, but it's more powerful when it goes off. And Ice Sword execution is, yeah, it's such a scare. I mean, it is Ice Sword execution, like Vast Hybrid Chimera Kraken are, like, to me, like the 2 best maybe lead off attacks in the game.
Yeah, they both do very similar stuff, right? Commit and freeze, solve the problem, solve it for next turn as well. Ice Sword, of course, being able to name multiple copies of a card, going to be much more important when Mark Tyner hits the standard legality, right? Being able to name 2 copies of a unique is going to be much better. But yeah, this has been a staple for control decks. It is the offensive control element that these decks are really looking to eliminate high impact foundations from the rival side. It looks like we do have a small video error here.
Yeah, hopefully we're coming back. I can still see him on my end. Okay, all right, we're back.
I was gonna say I lost one feed, but I think I got the other. Okay, yeah. Hopefully, I think the stream should be back in just a moment. Sorry about that, folks.
Who do
Players
you
are still continuing with still just the same Ice Sword execution.
who do you think has the better long game between these 2 characters? Would you give the edge to Overhaul a little bit when they can build in the massive mutant machines? Or would you give the edge to Rodan? I suppose there's like Hacker Extraordinaire to take care of the mutant machines to some extent. I don't know. Like, who do you think has the edge if we go to like turn 12?
So it's funny you mentioned Hacker. I think Overhaul uniquely has the edge in this matchup, specifically because for the for the void symbol, the answer to assets is typically to flip them, and most decks do kind of get either sunk or they have to find a sacrifice outlet on top of things to get that back. Overhaul does not have that problem. Overhaul almost doesn't care if you flip his massive mutant machines. That could be better for Overhaul in the meantime while we're waiting to get back to our turn to attack you with it. So Overhaul's ability to play face down cards, and we've seen, Barlow's willing to play it on a 7. Granted, we did check a 6 that time, but as the game goes deeper and deeper, being able to play that card on an 8, or being able to play it at the end of a string, ignoring progressive to set up for next turn gets easier and easier. So I think in that respect, I think Overhaul has a weird advantage. And on top of that, I think Overhaul's ability to sit and wait for specific effects um benefits him, with like deadlock abilities that we could bank into our stage and wait for the right moment to pull out. And the last thing, the maybe the most important thing, depending on how this game goes, is for Rodan to function. Rodan removes cards from the game naturally. Over time that attrition adds up, and when you fight slower and slower decks, that becomes a real cost for Rodan, the incubatings and the removing the top card of the discard pile. Whereas Overhaul is almost certainly not going to be removing cards at even a fraction of the rate that Rodan does.
Yeah, and we're once again seeing Barlow. He's not afraid to just hard build the high difficulty assets. Some really impactful cards coming down here. We get a 2 diff. I think it's like a gift returned. It adds a 6 check
Yep.
to your hand, so you can go and grab that syndicate target for a 0 low block when you need it. We got a Ceratos, so we're effectively a 7-hander. We're kind of on par with Rodan, except we can selectively choose that 7th card.
What else is a 6 check in this deck though?
Oh, it could be the 1 high, the 0 difficulty 1 high block.
Yeah, that one too, but
And then you
there's a
get one
slightly more
high or
impactful there's a
that used to
slightly more
be.
impactful 6 check in standard.
Oh, equipment heist? Yeah.
Yeah, this is also an equipment heist deck, don't forget. So this overhaul deck can go grab equipment heist from the discard pile now and have things set up ready with already mutant machine, a Cerritos, and a military airship. So the equipment heist might actually become superfluous here if we get all the assets in play by hard casting them for their full difficulty.
Yeah, I'm so stuck on that used to be like a superpower of overhauls just on the life symbol is that you got access to great block mods on your zero diffs and gift return gets them to your hand. But you're right, equipment heist just takes that card up a whole nother level.
Yeah, not to mention, incredible display has been a staple for a long time, allowing you to recycle those really good block modifiers. That's a huge part of the life symbols defense and identity. Pretty much has been the fact that they just block like obnoxiously well. And I think we're gonna see that here because World's Weakest Hunter. This is not the most threatening attack. It's only 4 damage. However, that 9 speed is carrying with it the opportunity to draw 3 whole cards, which is really, really good when you're trying to outvalue your opponent and when you're trying to make sure that you can get to your win condition before you run out of cards. As we see yet another card get removed from the game here. It looks like we're getting an incubating Science Bros combo, which is one of the coolest combinations that Rodan has access to now in standard to get a little more damage bump.
Yeah, but you're right. When you do go the Science Bros route, you're doubling down on removing cards. And when you combine it with incubating, at least, because
Yeah.
you're going to recoup the -1 speed from Science Bros, but you get the +1 damage. But so you're removing a card permanently from the game simply for +1 damage. And when you're already doing that on your character for speed, it can add up pretty quickly. But we're seeing Barlow. I mean, feels like more than half his stage just went sideways to get one block.
Yeah, and that's the power of the card draw, right? That's what we were just talking about. The opportunity to draw 3 is recognized by Barlow here as something worth committing for, even though it's only 6 damage. However, we do get the opportunity by blocking with that maximum overhaul to build it down with Desperate Plea. And that's how we're going to activate all the text on maximum overhauls by playing it from our
Mm.
stage. So that way we can activate the +3/+3, get more face downs back to our stage. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is Barlow trying more to set up for his own kill turn than it really is about him trying to prevent the card draw. However, I think this is absolutely the turn for Kai to turn
Oh,
up
he's
the
good.
pressure.
Yeah, and he's doing it through a Keiko's aid, so he's not scared. Checks a two. Well, he checks a 4, and it's on a set, or yeah, on a 7 technically. So three foundations go sideways. You're right, and this kind of goes back to Barlow setting up for his next turn. If he gets there, is that we're really forcing Kai to commit foundations here to keep going.
Yeah, and this is where we've got the Science Bros trigger. So we get 4 speed and 1 damage total by removing the 3 block modifier off the top of our discard pile. The 1 card in hand better be a high block. If we take the damage, it's going away anyhow. And that's not going to help us. We do see more incubating again, doubling down. We'll probably see a Rodan enhance here if we have 4 attacks removed from the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see it here.
Yeah,
And
I
we
wouldn't.
do.
I wouldn't be shocked if Barlow lets this hit so that he can use the frantic rescue. If he really thinks, hey, I am set up for my next turn, then I just don't think you take chances and you go ahead and flip it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you definitely don't want to commit the frantic rescue to block here and then get steamrolled by like 2 attacks after this. It's important to note that Rodan does have 1 momentum here, so flexibly a powerful. There is some powerful attacks here, but we see the Knots Flask coming in, trying to force out the last card in hand, and it does. The 3 check. It looks like Barlow's going to have to decide to either commit
Yep.
out.
Yeah, he's trying to weigh that frantic rescue versus getting a block. I don't know which one I would do.
I think it's got to be Frantic Rescue, right? Because let's say you commit everything but leave Overhaul open. You can play 1 card ignoring progressive difficulty. What card can you play versus Rodan's massively fast attacks that is actually going to benefit you. And we do see the option to fail it and the frantic rescue coming down. So you had to attempt the block, right? Because Violent Animus was just going to remove the
We're
card
gonna
from your
rip
hand
it. Yeah, you're
anyways.
right. You're right.
So spending it on the attempt and hoping you checked well, especially when we've got sixes in our deck, definitely makes perfect sense to me. And if we had checked well there, I think Barlow would be sitting very pretty.
Yeah, let's see if we can follow this up. I mean, Tri-Gravity Beam doesn't feel so great against Overhaul when there's no cards in hand and he's going to play the next one from his stage.
True. That is actually the most nightmare scenario. And what's really interesting here too is theoretically, I believe, right? The maybe not theoretically, but the next card we play would be our second card played because we played we blocked with Maximum Overhaul, we built it with Desperate Plea, and then we failed a card. We didn't play another card, so there could be a rejuvenating smash hiding in that
Mhm.
staging area that would completely block a Tri Gravity Beam, and not only would we get around the hand rip of Tri Gravity Beam, we would flip the entire equation on its head by drawing 2 cards and gaining 2 health, and we might be falling into that trap right here.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm a little surprised we're choosing to go for this because checking the 3 here, we're really going to have our defenses down if Overhaul gets the turn back. I mean, this is putting a lot of pressure on us now to actually kill this turn. Um,
So this was the turn I
but
felt
there's
like we
just no
wanted to
way.
put some pressure on, and I think that our Violent Animus shot did that. We got Overhaul down to 15, so I think you're right. I think this is kind of a space where the stun doesn't really feel that good. There's Deadlock Stun 3, which is nice, and we're almost certainly still gonna be able to make this, like, unblockably fast, truth be told, because
Yeah.
of that Stun 3. So the guaranteed damage from a fast enough move backed up by the stun is really good, but I can't believe we didn't do the Rodan enhanced commit before playing this attack if
Oh,
we
you're
were
right.
gonna continue. We had
Yeah, and so
access.
now we're using Rodan for which tells us that there's a follow-up attack coming. Because now we're in a situation where we need to kill Overhaul this turn. And
I feel like there better be an attack coming. I think if you're trying to pivot and build out now, even if you have like I would do the Rodan E commit if I was trying to build some really impactful, high difficulty to difficulty foundations. But I feel like you're in a position now where you really got to have a finishing move here, and we can check up to an 8, so we can play a 5 diff after this. If we have a 6 on top, we could even play a 6 diff. So there is a world where Ascend to Battle potentially comes down here.
yeah, an Ascend to Battle would be pretty sweet. We can still pick up +0 low block with gift returned to half block.
Yeah. Oh, you know what would be crazy here actually? What would actually be like really,
Oh,
really,
but it
really a hang 10. If you could get a hang 10 going with multiple, buff triggers, if you get like a +4 block mod on top, hang 10 ready a foundation, respond science bros ready a foundation, incubating ready a foundation, you could go absolutely crazy with a hang 10 play here. Granted, it would pretty much have to require having a 6 on top or like chaining all the responses incredibly together.
yeah, this is actually looking really, really scary for Barlow. He might have taken his time a little bit too much.
Yeah, we're still not seeing what's crazy is we're not seeing the deadlock stun 3 here because you could either chain ready foundations with the surprising skills, or I think maybe we're seeing it now. We might be seeing stun 3 now, but the surprising skills also are going to make you commit foundations. So this could mess up your math to pass checks, even though we just looked at the top cards of our deck with Rodan. The stun 3 comes down. I would love to see surprising skill, ready surprising skill, but now make the rival commit.
Yeah, let's see what he does. Yep. And it looks like you are in his head.
I'm still waiting for the rejuve smash block. If he rejuve smash blocks on an 8-year, I'm gonna lose my freaking mind. All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going
because the
to
frantic rescue is still in play. So we got the 3
right.
stun him 1 here, plus the frantic rescue. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I would pass at that point. I don't think it would since we committed Rodan to look.
Right. I think we're fast approaching a world where this was the last attack pretty much no matter what.
Oh, no, he actually readied pump up. Okay, so he chose not to force him to commit, and he readies pump up instead. He flips, and now when he blocks, he can seal a foundation. It's a little hard for me to see the foundations that are ready due to the glare
They
over
are
there.
exactly glared out, aren't they? They are
Yeah.
exactly where the
So
glare begins.
so it's hard for me to tell what Barlow's thought process is, but he checks the 3. He's got to
Oh,
commit his entire stage.
just barely passes it. Okay, we didn't have the plus excuse me, we didn't have the +1 mid, but we had the +2 mid, and now pump up is gonna be able to seal,
Oh,
but
he
I would
sealed
have
Science
to
Bros.
what's up?
He sealed Science Bros.
I was gonna say it would have to be Science Bros is my best guess, but absolutely amazing stuff. Made the right call, by the way, to ready the foundation. Did the math, made the right call, made it so that even if we checked a 3, we just barely passed that check. So absolutely perfect play from Barlow, but Kai still has a chance somehow to push through for game here, but it would require some absolutely amazing checks on top of the deck.
Yeah, let's see what follows. What follows this? I mean, 15. Is there a move that deals 15? It looks like we didn't have the ascend to battle or something that would hit hard enough, and we have to call it off. And now we only have 4 ready foundations into Barlow being able to fish for equipment heist, having Ceratos out, a mutant machines, and a military airship,
Yeah.
and a
I
maximum
mean,
overhaul built into his stage.
we know there's a maximum overhaul down in the stage. We've got the Ceratos form. I mean, there's no way we brick here. And as soon as we enter the enhanced step, like the odds that Barlow is not going to immediately snap an entire, hand's worth of attacks is oh, and the equipment heist. And the equipment heist. Come on, Barlow.
Yeah.
Abs-
Rodan's
absolutely
gonna have to
incredible.
have multiple barrier shields in hand, likely, to survive this.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be barrier shield plus the breaker 3 block plus airy smiles, and they'd have to do a fusion dance. So you have a breaker that makes you play a non-attack card and stack a bad check on top of your rival's deck.
We'll see. We'll see. I've seen Rodan's block 5+ moves on fewer foundations than 4 before.
Yeah, so we do see the pass-through walls get used to cancel the Cerritos form, which I think that's great. I think where we are in the turn, you cannot risk, maybe Barlow did brick. It's you're playing to your outs and denying him the ability to potentially draw an attack and set up his check, I think is absolutely correct. But now that the pass-through walls is out of the way and we see the pristine sword play, which not what you want to start off with, right? You want to have a committed massive mutant machine to ready and reuse. However, we've got a ton of damage coming out here, and what we know about what's an overhaul stage is things are only going to get harder and harder for Kai throughout this turn.
Yeah, and we can, even though it doesn't feel great to lead with, we know that we could always just play the maximum overhaul from our stage and then airship the Priestton Swords play
Correct.
back to our hand and
That is
play it
almost
again when
certainly
it
going
does
to
feel
happen.
better.
Like, I would be very surprised if that exact line is not where we go from here, but I guess you might wait until you get the first heist off, but I don't think you'd have to,
Yeah.
especially since we already have the mutant machines in play.
I think it's very thematic for Barlow to be playing Pristine Swords play since he was like the first Tyrion Darrington player.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he did top like the first regional with it. Yeah, it's so funny. Pristine Swordplay is that card that I swear when I first read it, I went, "Oh, this is an ultra rare, man. I gotta sack an asset." Like, this is such an obvious like Tarion only card, and even Tarion Darringtons didn't really play it. But I had no idea the glow up that Massive Mutant Machine was gonna give this card.
Yeah, and we just sacked that Ceratos. I mean, basically saying, yeah, this is the last turn, and since you canceled it, we don't care about it anymore.
Well, I mean, we have equipment heist. This is just optimal, David. This is how we
Oh,
build
right.
it back and use it again. You know, you canceled it with pass through walls. I'm going to play 2 more attacks. And then if I don't have any more attacks, you know, after air shipping and everything, I'm just going to build it back to go digging through my deck if I have to. Like, this is just optimal use with the new unique keyword.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yeah, notably, Rodan is still going to block this for sure, for sure. And they're gonna hope that it is a breaker 3 block because now we see the pump up technology sacrificing every well, not sacrificing, but you know, flipping every face up foundation in our stage. When Rodan blocks, we're gonna be able to systematically target and seal those pesky few foundations that remain. And then it's basically just gonna be how much speed can we reduce with our character versus how much speed can massive mutant machines give to maximum overhaul.
Yeah, and it's putting a lot of pressure on Kai to just go ahead and use their foundations now. Like they went ahead and flipped Botan's coaching to discard a
Oh,
+3 high block to draw a +3 high block. Okay, now this one canceling maximum overhaul could be pretty big.
yeah, this might be better than a breaker 3 block considering how big the stages are. Being able to cancel a equipment heist activation is pretty big here. Being able to cancel the blitz to ready a massive mutant machine is basically the same thing. Um Yeah, there's a lot of roads that lead to deny you massive mute machine, but I think you're right. I think the maximum overhaul add 3 to hand is the correct thing to cancel in this specific instance, despite the fact that it really doesn't feel good to cancel that when you've got things like equipment heist staring you in the face.
Yeah, let's see how many ops to pick
Notably,
up.
Kai is still at full health. Right? Notably, Kai has not taken damage this game.
Yeah, but if you let this over, I mean, pretty soon all of these are going to be dealing 15 plus. And that was kind of a,
Oh.
on Kai's side, the previous turn, it was, I could pass one more attack, but I can't get to 15. And getting to 15 is really not going to be an issue on Overhaul.
Yeah, overhaul perusing the old second hand. The old MHA second hand. We call that the table hand back in MHA days. Gonna get 3/3, add 3 cards from our stage, add 3 face downs specifically from our stage to our hand. And now we're gonna get to build a card in from our hand. I have to imagine it's a mutant machine if we got one. Or an airship. Okay, we have the airship. That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna cancel
Oh,
the build in.
okay. Okay. I
That's
don't mind it.
That's about as good as any other cancel, right? You're canceling target, draw, and attack that swings for the most damage. So, as far as optimal cancels goes, I can't argue with that one. I don't know if there's a better cancel than add pristine swordplay to hand. We
Yeah, I
still,
mean that was going to deal 75% of our health
yeah,
in one blow, if not all the way to 23.
we still can't confirm 100% for sure that Barlow has another attack. Statistically, it would be jaw dropping if Barlow does not have another attack here to get the equipment heist going. But now we know that the airship is stuck in hand. You know, equipment heist
Mhm.
doesn't build from hand, it builds from deck and from discard pile. So without a way to discard our one of military airship, that card is stuck. However, pristine swordplay
Yeah.
is gonna take it. We reveal that we don't have the mid, and unfortunately, the stats built up just too quickly. Double massive mutant machine on that attack was gonna be too fast. No reset and play. And now, unfortunate if you are a Rodan fan, there's less than 30 minutes left in the round. We got to win a quick one, David. We talked about how a
Yeah.
tie doesn't really behoove either player. So Maybe there was a world where we recognize that we're in trouble and scoop a little bit early, but that's really hard to do in this game. It's harder to do in UniVersus than any other card game I've ever seen in my life. So Kai really had a good chance there with Rodan speed, where if we just had the right blocks for the first two attacks and Barlow, ran out of steam, we get a whole nother turn. So
Yeah, I think on Rodan's side, if you rewind time a little bit, in my opinion, after Barlow checked a 3 to block the violent anima shot and took the damage, and we saw that he went ahead and used the frantic rescue, I
yep.
think I think if Kai could turn back time, it would be nice to have just built from there and not have continued to go for it, because that really cost, going for the tri-gravity really
Yep.
cost the remainder of the stage. It didn't really do anything. It got blocked by the desperate plea. Um, and then we were kind of ruined going into the next turn. And that tri-gravity beam, I mean, that was the mid block for that second pristine swords play. We would have had it if we had kept it in our hand. So just looking back on it, I think that was a pretty big turning point in the game, choosing to continue to go for it.
It's so tough because Tri Gravity Beam in that situation feels like guaranteed damage. And I don't even, we didn't even hit with it, right? We still had
Yeah.
the desperate plea block with the perfect math from Barlow there. So yeah, absolutely perfect weaving in when he was blocking, when he wasn't. We attempted to block the violent animus, but things didn't go our way. But it didn't spell disaster either because of that frantic rescue. So yeah, I gotta agree with you. The frantic rescue is a handshake agreement, right? And
Mhm.
we talk about game states a lot, and we talk about value of cards. A lot of times, there's a lot of hidden value in handshake cards, which um, I consider a lot of the after you take damage triggers to be this. Like driven by retribution is okay. I take damage, but you don't get momentum. I get to remove that card from the card pool and I get to debuild you. That's a very harsh, very uncompromising sort of agreement. But Frantic Rescue is a lot more tame. It's a lot more fair to both parties involved. It's I'm going to take an unblocked attack. You're going to get +1 difficulty. So you stop attacking me, but you dealt 12 damage or whatever it was. We had Overhaul down to 15. We could have banked the
Yeah.
momentum. We could have pivoted from there. And I at the time, the Tri-Gravity looked so good, the Tri-Gravity looked like guaranteed damage just based off Rodan's speed pump, based off the deadlock stun, but those surprising skills came back in a major way at the end of the game.
Yeah, and that whole matchup of game one really felt like whoever left their feet first was going to get thrown down, because they were both so stable for the early turns of the game, and that kind of felt like the point where Rodan got a little off balance and punished for it. Not and
Yep.
Rodans are used to being greedy and not getting punished for it because their character has so much value on face.
Yeah, well, and that's it's funny you mentioned that because I think that is exactly what cards like Ice Sword Execution are supposed to solve, right? Is uh it gets really frustrating when both players have built up good defenses, right? And then it feels like the first person who dares to attack the opponent loses. The first person who walks into a breaker block or a bad check on their own turn just throws the momentum of the game over to their opponent, and opening with Ice Sword Execution is kind of supposed to solve that. But Barlow was able to hold on to the surprising skills, use them correctly on the right attacks, use them on the ice swords, use them on the deadlock stuns, and it really all came together with just the right numbers for Barlow.
Yeah, and choosing to commit down the desperate plea. We don't want to allow a maximum overhaul block to get built down, or a I guess the high block is the one that if it deals damage, the next one ignores progressive. Secret rare from Battle for Humanity. I can't remember it. Midst of Despair. There you
Midst
go.
of Despair, yeah. Yeah, we did see that one get attempted as a block earlier. Um, This is Ice Sword Execution. We don't have a momentum, so it's not going to be fully powered here. However, it can represent a pretty solid poke on turn 2. It looks like the speed's not that impressive, though. Ooh.
Okay, it's going to be a half, but we can flip something.
Yeah, this is super nice. We are going to respond on block. Did you see which foundation we got flipped there? The glare is.
No, I can only assume Science Bro. I'm just always going to assume Science Bros.
Yeah, if that was, yeah, I think we had the +1 damage from a Science Bros. That is absolutely what it was going to be. However, we
Okay.
got to scout our check with Rodan. We got to play Rejuvenating Smash on a 6, check a 5, commit the 1 foundation that just got flipped. We're going to respond, draw 2 cards, a little bit of nerves here spilling out onto the table. But what's really, really cool here is we got Botan's coaching to discard a card and get a momentum during this attack. But before that, we also have +4 speed and draw another card. So this is pretty much the best opening I think this Void Rodan deck can have. Ice Sword Execution
Yeah.
to target snipe something into Rejuvenating with all of the card draw, with all of the momentum generation you want, and you did not check poorly on it.
Yeah, this is a picture perfect open. We need to be aggressive. The nightmare scenario in this round is to draw. So Rodan needs to pull 2 wins out in 20 minutes. That's almost a Houdini-like feat for a Void Rodan to do,
Right.
as if the opponent doesn't just roll over for you. So, yeah, if we can snag a couple momentum, get a really strong build in here, and then go all out on our turn 3, I love where we are.
Yeah, moment of normalcy. Absolutely what you want to see here. Incubating, the earlier you get incubating out, the double incubating, the earlier you get double incubating out, the earlier Rodan can remove 4 attacks selectively from the discard pile to get that scout ability online. The faster you get the scout ability online, the more aggressive you can be. You know, the more often you can play those rejuvenating smashes on a 6, get that extra card draw, get that extra card advantage going. Barlow's at 18. We have the equipment heist, though. Can we end the game here, David?
Yeah, I mean, this tells us it could just be choosing to hand filter. But man, being aggressive here feels like it would be playing into Rodan's hands, allowing Rodan to kill us on that turn 3 and have 15 minutes going into game 3. I think it's too risky to be aggressive here.
Yeah, I think everyone views equipment heist as a win condition. What about the rare value heist? What about just a little value heist? We're just gonna play a couple of attacks, a few attacks, maybe 3 attacks. Then we're just gonna go build, our favorite defensive asset to hold on to for later.
Yeah, that works when you check 6s.
That's true. We are checking pretty well on this turn. So maximum overhaul here. We're not going to get the full benefit, right? We're not going to get to add a bunch of cards from our stage to our hand, which I don't think we'd want to do that at this point in the game, anyways. However, we are going to get to once per turn, first enhance overhaul, build a card from our hand face down. We will get to maximum overhaul, build a card from our hand face up or face down. And it looks like,
Is that Gecko
Cammy?
or Cammy?
I believe that the Earth backup is Cammy, right? Yeah, that's Cammy, the Covert Chameleon, one of the secret rare backups, one of the elusive backups from TMNT. Cammy, the Covert
Yeah,
Chameleon
commit
is.
for 2 speed and selectively flip a rival foundation.
Yeah, this has been terrorizing my locals. This is like a locals level nightmare because I will pump my rivals attack to flip their best foundation all the time. This is something I will do on their attack constantly. So this is, however, not the most damaging thing we could have built from our hand. However, it is very cool that maximum overhaul, a card that was printed way before backups were probably ever envisioned, says build 1 card. So it does allow you to build backups, and I think that's very cool.
Yeah, that was not the design intention at the time, I'm sure, but it's fun that it works with it.
Yeah, but we do see the aerial goblin bolt block coming in. That's a partial block, so we're gonna take 4 damage. But we see the flip cancel on the blitz. So Mighty Blitz is not gonna be able to add the third attack to the card pool. That's gonna prevent us from activating equipment heist until we play yet another attack. So the partial block from Goblin Bolt potentially saving us massive amounts of health here.
Yeah, and this is where it gets scary for Barlow to push any further. You know, he has checked really well, so he hasn't been punished. Um, but had there been threes on both of their attacks, this could have been really. I mean, I don't think you can afford to send anything else out beyond this. I think you have to respect that Rodan dealt some damage and has a momentum.
Yeah, what's really funny too is there is the secondary blitz that says if you have a low attack in your card pool, your rival spends 2 momentum, but it looks like we didn't even bother to activate that ability, right? We didn't have 3
Yeah, he
momentum.
has the low. He has the maximum overhaul. You're right. The momentum should be gone.
Actually, wait, maybe we did have 3 momentum because we got the momentum from Rejuve and we did deal damage. So maybe I'm tripping. Maybe we did. There's a lot of things to look at in this game as we see Mist of Despair coming down now. Another secret rare hitting the table. This one has some pretty big implications if it deals damage. But it also wants you to have gained life this turn for it to be a well statted attack. It's only a printed 2 speed. If you haven't gained health this turn, you don't get the blitz for +3. And of course, 2 speed is absolutely nothing to a Rodan.
Yeah, and if this deals damage, our next one ignores, and then we can play one from our hand that ignores. Um, Barlow's going pretty aggressive here. I have to imagine the Mist of Despair gets blocked, though.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
hard.
so far Kai has done an excellent job, you know. Took the partial damage, used the goblin bolt, got the rejuve block on the mid attack. I mean, this has been a pretty uphill battle for Barlow throughout this turn, even with the equipment heist, you know, looming. But we're now gonna start seeing the value of that come down.
Yeah, here comes Airship. And what are we going to pick up? This is also the kind of interesting game where the opposite, where the other effect on barrier shields can sometimes come into play. And no adding cards to your hand for this attack.
Yeah, I always
Here,
look for interesting ways to use that card, but it can be hard to sequence it a lot of the time. When your rival builds an airship is a pretty good tip, but I think it looks like yeah, okay, we're gonna get the Mighty Blitz back. I'm a little surprised it wasn't the maximum overhaul, but considering we don't want to debuild ourselves a whole lot, that does make sense to me.
yeah, I'm a little surprised too at the Mighty Blitz choice.
It makes me wonder, have we seen anything that particularly cares about being in the card pool, or is it just a slightly better statted attack when you're not doing all the buttons on maximum overhaul, right? It looks like we do have both of the once per turns used on overhaul already. So we do have a was the Midst of Despair played from the stage? Is that what happened?
I'm not sure, but it was a must block, and we did block with the Ice Sword. So, if nothing else, this was a pretty successful turn for Barlow in the sense that we
Oh,
got rid of Rejuve and got rid of Ice Sword from Rodan's hand. But here comes the 3 check, and this is going to kind of, if Overhaul doesn't finish their food here, kind of open themselves up for a backswing.
yeah, but this could finish our food here because
Yeah, plus 3. You're
we're gonna
you're
get
right.
plus
You're
three,
right.
+3. We're gonna add all those face downs back to our hand, and if we have a massive mutant machine in hand, and we can build one from equipment heist, we could represent lethal between the +10 damage from mutant machines and overhaul response.
But you're banking on Rodan not having a barrier shield, and they just always have it.
Do they always have it? How many cards do we have in hand right now?
I'm not sure. I
A
imagine the
six,
barrier shield would have been used
I think we
already if
have
it was there,
I think we have
but
one card in hand, David. I could be wrong. It's been hard to track all the cards that get played and all the cards that are in play. But I
yeah,
think
this is
we
gonna
only I
be
think that's
plus.
one card in hand for Kai, which means we'd have to barrier shield and then like Botan's coaching or incubate a supersonic flight or something to draw a card.
Yeah. Maximum overhaul base 5. It got to 8. We can add 10. Where are we getting the 19th damage? Oh, from
Overhaul
overhaul,
response. Flip
obviously.
a foundation.
Yeah. Yeah. Overhaul does give damage. Yeah, when you declare no block. Yeah, you're right. This is representing lethal, and from Kai's body language, it certainly looks like it's going to connect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we have I thought we had a Botons in stage still, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. It looks like we just got that one card floating off by itself. Ominously, a barrier shield is sitting on top of our discard pile, but no, this should deal 5 base plus 10 from the mutant machines plus 3 from its own enhance plus 2 from overhaul to make 20 damage while we're at 19 because we built a mutant machine from our hand and from equipment heist.
Oh, he did it. Oh, what's going on? Yeah, he did it.
We did have the barrier shield.
They
Okay.
always have it. They always have it.
That's absolutely all right. You're right. They always have it. I guess we were wrong. I guess there was more than one card in hand.
I was just faking them out with putting the cards down, and
I mean, that's what I do. I never look at my hand when my opponent's playing. I never try to give them any sort of information on what I'm looking at. I just try to remember what's in my hand. But barrier shield gonna put the speed all the way down to 0, meaning even a partial block keeps us alive here. Absolutely clutch action.
we are headed to the nightmare scenario of a draw. I can just see it. I can already see it.
You think Kai's got this? Kai still has to win a game.
I
There's
know,
less
and
than
he's
10 minutes.
completely gotten rid of his sculpt. Repeated's gone, Ice Sword's gone,
Yeah.
Reju's gone. That's everything that we wanted to win.
Dude, look at that sick kill hand. Look at that absolutely like awesome lethal line of destroy your whole stage, draw more cards, ramp more momentum into, card with EX and powerful, and yet we had to block with all of them. All of them to stay alive, actually. I think if any of those attacks deal damage, even the Mists of Despair, we're in a way worse position. Because remember, Barlow committed a lot of foundations to play that maximum overhaul. If the Mists of Despair knocked us down to 10 health as Rodan, and then allowed us to play a different attack, ignoring progressive difficulty, we could have dealt with an entirely different threat before dealing with that maximum overhaul that we needed barrier shield for.
Yeah, I really respect the play from Bar. I respect being aggressive and going for the win. I do. But man, it feels like in this scenario, being on a win and in, knowing that Nate chose to tie ahead of you at the same record, that you cannot draw this game. Choosing to be so aggressive there and then getting punished with that barrier shield. I mean, I just don't see how Overhaul gets a single block.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough. Overhaul on the life symbol doesn't have access to cards like Barrier Shield, doesn't have access to cards like Runaway. We do have the Ice Sword Execution coming down. It looks like we did spend the momentum here, so not sure if that's just because we want the freeze value because we didn't draw a good backswing, or if we're just pushing the issue here saying, one momentum for 5 damage is the most damage I can get out of this momentum this turn.
Yeah, Void Rodan it struggles for damage, and so if we're able to connect and take half of Overhaul's life on our opener, we just got to have 2 more.
There's Rejuve. Do we have a way? It's so hard to see the 2 face-ups, but I don't think we have a way to discard. I don't think we did have the Botons that I thought we did. I think those are incubatings, so this will be pretty interesting. We did get to scout ahead, though. Make sure we pass that check and see if we could draw cards that we want to draw. It's looking like a 1-1 draw. It's looking like a
Yeah, if
nightmare
I'm Barlow, I'm like,
scenario.
hey, let's get to this game 3. I got 6 minutes.
Yeah, if I'm Barlow, I'm like, I need to turn to you. I need to turn to you like tomorrow, like today,
Which is
like over.
possible. I mean, it's
It
very,
is
very
possible.
possible.
Yeah. Oh, dude, if Barlow opens like five foundations and then just goes equipment heist, mighty blitz, pristine swordplay, like we're so back. Barlow could easily just turn to equipment heist, mighty blitz into a pristine swordplay and a maximum overhaul. And those two attacks will easily do it.
Yeah.
And if it's turn two, it'll almost certainly be just because Rodan didn't draw enough cards yet.
Yeah, and that game was kind of similar to game one in the sense that Barlow full sent it first and Barlow got punished. And in game one, Kai full sent it first and Kai got punished. And so it's been just whichever player goes for it, they haven't been quite able to finish the job. And then they're normally, both stages are not well equipped to handle strings, and then they're just not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely wild back and forth. It's really tough because both of these decks are so good at looking stable, looking defensible, right? And then all of a sudden you get two attacks into a turn and like everything's committed, everything's face down, like every possible resource feels like it's been used on the first attack, and everyone is in dire straits because of how powerful these keyword abilities with momentum are and how powerful these assets and things are.
Can we get a build 5? No. A build 4. Barlow understands the time. We can see that the pace has noticeably picked up here.
Yeah, not a lot of time to question your plays, but also no time left to make any mistakes.
Yeah, this is getting an incubating and a guaranteed full block. Not full block. Take no damage with the cost of defeats. That's pretty nice. Both stages are decently defensive.
Here we go.
Yeah, the nice thing is they have to stop. They have to just swing at each other.
Yeah, here comes maximum overhaul. I mean, this is the centerpiece of the deck. This is the main workhorse, the main engine of the deck here. We're gonna build something potentially from hand. It's a Cerritos, huge build on turn 2.
That's the kind of thing that just shouldn't happen.
Yeah, just play my 5 diff, build a 6 diff. At least it's from hand. I feel like from hand is like the most fair place to build from. We've got Hunter's Ally out there building from discard piles. We got Equipment Heist building from the deck.
Ooh, not a. I don't know which one you take here. Are you gonna? I think you get the Massive Mutant Machine and you hard build it.
Well, I think it's a little late for that, but maybe. I guess not. I guess you get to know your check. I guess you play this on an 8 and you just say Rodan's never turned 2 to me before. Even through the breaker though, gosh.
He needs all the he just needs all the stats he can get for that next turn because in all likelihood Overhaul has one more turn.
Correct. Yeah. And that's not even necessarily true. There is a world where Kai plays the clock and, it doesn't behoove them to do so, right? It doesn't really behoove them to win or lose in a specific way, I guess. Well, it behooves them to win, but like to tie or lose, right? Doesn't necessarily benefit them. So I don't think they're going to like try to do that. But if you played 3 attacks as Rodan and it took 2.5 minutes, that wouldn't surprise me.
All right, the classic foundation into rejuve. So we're just, I mean, when you do that, the benefit is, you can have 2 cards to have a better build, but you're telegraphing that it's just a poke.
Hot take, commit Rodan here. Just commit Rodan. You don't like the scouting 2 cards, not that impressive here. Commit Rodan. He's still playable while committed.
Oh,
It looks like he's asking for the take back here. Which I guess, it looks like he's letting him do it. So I don't know exactly the ordering there, but commit the Rodan.
Putting on the stats so that you can get the +4 speed and we can get the draw off on it.
Yeah, we want to draw yet another card. So really not liking our hand there. Or at the very least realizing that we're gonna have to get this value from the supersonic flight right now. Because if we you could have destroyed it and removed it with incubating later, theoretically, to draw on the rival's turn. I don't hate that play, but yeah, realizing this is almost certainly the last turn where you're gonna get any value of it, especially offensively. So
Yeah, if I'm Kai, I'm not too worried. I mean, you can comfortably build as Kai because since you're the player that went second, you will see another turn. But for Overhaul, this
oh,
will be
that's
their
true,
final
yeah.
turn.
That's
So Kai's in a good position because Barlow
Carlo
has to swing.
overextends, yeah.
Barlow just has to swing, which means that if Barlow swings and misses, Kai's not going to have too much of an issue getting through the defense. And maybe that Keiko's 8 and the frantic rescues get committed during the swing, or the frantic rescue already got used. But maybe the Keiko's 8 goes down.
Yeah, we dipped the frantic rescue, realizing that we want the game to end here, and we got the maximum overhaul already on screen. We're playing the maximum overhaul yet again. I've never seen maximum overhaul as an opener, before massive mutant machine. It was always like the worst, most reluctant opener, and now it feels like one of the best.
Yeah, I could certainly see a lethal line getting put together here. We have even with the 3 check, just starting out with a mutant machine and a Ceratos plus a healthy foundation base, it could happen.
Yeah, that's true. I'm wondering if we have any special specific sauce for the Ceratos. Normally you use it first, right? But if you have ways to stack your deck, if you have ways to put cards on top of your deck to retrieve with the Ceratos, that's something we've seen Devilgen players do, right? With camouflage counters to stack the top, and the Cerritos in the equipment heist decks to fish off the top and guarantee your next check. Sometimes in the Devilgen decks, you got to force an attack on top to check, for the response. But we've got the +1 high block here being revealed.
Yeah, we did build a second mutant machine, so we have +10/+10 in our stage. If we could follow it up with like a pristine swords play, we have massive stats.
I would not, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if just a singular double statted, double mutant machined pristine sword play was what won the game. Like if you told me Kai blocks 2 moves and then a pristine sword play that is 14 speed minus 4 from Rodan and still unblockable because we don't have the reset, I would believe that in a heartbeat. Because
And we had the official, just called overtime.
Yeah, the pristine swordplay enhanced to add 7 damage, or 6, for either of these assets really is absolutely like it's so incredible, just how much that 7 damage difference makes. It goes from a poke that does effectively nothing, if you don't win the game right now, to actual lethal damage so quickly. But looks like we're putting both mutant machines here on the maximum overhaul, even though we can't add the foundations to our hand for bonus stats. So this is only a 7 low for 15. I know that that's not terrible stats, but
we are praying that that guy doesn't have a barrier shield.
or that Kai doesn't have a low block at all, which, I mean, I think Kai is smart enough to hold a low block against the maximum overhaul deck if we had one. I don't think that is a mistake that Kai is going to make.
Oh, I see the aerial goblin bolt. So, but he's choosing not to block with I thought I saw an aerial goblin bolt. Very interesting to block with the trigrav over in aerial.
Yeah, especially since we committed the Mikasa defeats the female Titan during our last turn. So we're not even going to get to take no damage from this.
Maybe his plan is he's going to bury your shield into the aerial goblin bolt.
That would be solid. I wouldn't hate that play at all. Anything with a barrier shield right now sounds good to me because that's what we're going to need if we get another mutant machine down into play. But here comes Mist of Despair. I do believe we did get to heal off of that attack dealing damage, right? The overhaul response does get to heal us a little bit. So this will get the bonus speed. Hopefully, if you're a Rodan player, that +3 speed shouldn't be the difference. You should be able to beat that. But our stage is so committed, every little bit helps, and we have a +1 on top now. Okay, that's after the -3.
Yeah, and that okay. So Battle for Dominance is coming here. I bet we're hoping we draw because I don't think we did have a low block. You were saying, oh, they
Yeah,
probably held a low, but I don't think there was one.
I said if it was available. I said Kai is
Yeah,
smart enough to hold the low if it's available. However, we still we still got a chance. I think Kai's actually got this somehow, but it's gonna be tough.
okay. The next maximum overhaul comes in.
We haven't played a card from our stage yet, ignoring progressive. Wait,
No, and Rodan's down to 12. Um, 2 moves connecting, even half should get there.
yeah, but at the same time, we know that Kai's got the barrier shield in hand. It's now going to come down to what the block zones are. I think if you don't have a low block, I think
Yeah,
you just take this one, actually. I think
yeah,
you
and I
go down to 2 if you don't, but because the breaker 2 doesn't stop Barlow from playing another card here if we choose to do the overhaul once per turn to ignore progressive. And we've got the military airship
yeah, I don't
absolutely
think the breaker
back.
2 is gonna say. I don't think the breaker 2 saves him.
No, I don't. It mathematically doesn't look like it. It would have to be a 1 check on a 6. We could commit 5 easily. I mean, Barlow would have to be taking some intentional risk, I think, to walk into this breaker,
Yeah,
keeping Kai alive. Unfortunate. I thought Kai had it for just a second with the barrier shield, but seeing the military airship come out from the maximum overhaul absolutely changed the wrinkles in my brain. And now Barlow Barlow's still got to find 12 damage. This isn't over yet.
yeah, but we know the problem is that he picked up the maximum overhaul, and we know Kai doesn't have a low block. So we're gonna take the half here. That's gonna be 4. That'll take us down to 8 health. We can aerial goblin bolt, probably something that gives stats. Um, I mean, if the stats make it lethal. So you probably aerial goblin bolt the pickup, or maybe the build down. I mean, both of those give. I mean, if there's another massive mutant machine in hand, then you're trapped because either enhance gets the maximum to lethal. Oh, the maximum's to lethal no matter what because of overhaul. I think we're just doomed. Well, I guess we can half block.
Yeah, we do have the goblin bolt here to cancel something potentially. Looks like
But
we
I
are
just don't
gonna.
know if we can. I don't know if we can even half block with being completely tapped out. So we have to stop the thing that gives speed. Yeah, the pickup.
Yeah, we canceled the add 3 because it's also the stats. Like
Mhm.
that is by far the most important thing to cancel here, unless you know somehow that yet another mutant machine was going to be built from the rival's hand here.
No. Check the 3 on the block. Barlow
Ooh.
takes it.
Yeah, Barlow with the overhaul response there to add a little bit of damage onto the partial, making it lethal. And Barlow is actually going to manage to win this in overtime with the buzzer beater at the very last second. My goodness, that's about as dramatic as you can get. And I know that there was some overhaul fans in chat.
Yeah, that was a crazy game because so the thing is that he didn't partial he went for the partial, but he checked the 3. I think if Kai checked the 5 there, he survives that attack with the partial, and then Barlow has to have a follow-up. And um
And things were
anyway,
getting pretty tough. Things were getting pretty
yeah,
tight on
yeah,
the
that was
stage there.
that was pretty brutal for Kai, but a huge congratulations to Barlow. Made the trip out to Scotland and gets to top 8 in all likelihood.
In
I
all
won't
likelihood,
say
yeah, we gotta see how
guaranteed,
these
but
things shake down.
I think 99% that's going to take Barlow um, to the top 8. But that was a very, very fun. In my opinion, that was the most fun match that I've gotten to commentate today. And so I don't think that Kai should feel bad at all. I thought that all things considered, they played really, really well, especially defensively. Felt like they were making all the right choices to survive, and in the end, it just wasn't quite enough. So top 8 tomorrow. Sam, do you have any final thoughts before we send the viewers off?
Well, I think it's going to become very apparent that we're going to have a Devil Jin on stream. I know, known character, meta character, boo. But yeah, I think Devil Jin is almost certainly going to have to make an appearance. We do have some Mikasas as well, so be prepared for more Mikasa Hizuru's Hope. That was a very popular, very well performing character. I'm looking at the standings right now. They're not finalized, but if the points are correct, we do have some really interesting stuff in top 8. And I think all of our top 8, I could be wrong because there's two TOs. There's two different people with the name TEO. But I think all of our top 8 except our Devil Jin player was featured on the stream today in Swiss. So that's very, very exciting. Very cool storylines you get to follow from day 1 to day 2. If you're watching this back somehow, you're watching the VOD later and you're about to watch Top Cuts the next day. I think it's very cool when we get to see all of these players. So right now, names you might recognize from this stream today. Barlow, we just saw, probably going to be 8th place. Mitchell Chimino is almost certainly going to make it in there playing himself. Cardwell, we saw with a very strong performance. Kevin Terragosa, I believe we saw earlier today. I could be wrong on that one, but the name rings a bell. I believe at the very least from the last EU regional. Teo that I spoke about before. There's Srihard. Sorry, I'm terrible with names. Sri from the Trading Post playing Devil Jin is going to make it in there. And then we saw Rocco earlier. And I can't remember. Did you guys watch Nathan James while I wasn't on stream?
I don't think we did. I think he's on Deku, if I remember. No, he's also on Mikasa. So another Mikasa making it in.
Yeah, Nathan James is the guy who practically taught people how to play Mikasa, spamming his whole stage away, destroying every single possible foundation, building back from zero every turn. At least I think that was him. There's a couple players who adopted that playstyle pretty quick. But yeah, we've definitely seen the name Nathan James before, so I'm not surprised to see them at the top of our list. But it's not official yet. If you guys want to check out the official standings, we got to wait for everyone to report. We got to wait for everything to be finalized, and then you can find all that information on the UniVersus Games Network, which is also where you can go to sign up for your Guilty Gear pre-releases. Don't forget, guys, Guilty Gear is coming out this week. Guilty Gear pre-releases are supposed to be happening. There are some delays, unfortunately, with products in the United States. So make sure you're talking to your local game stores. Make sure you're staying up to date on all the information when those pre-releases are going to happen, because I'm super excited for them. There's a lot of cool stuff to collect. There's the 9-piece, art card you can collect, and that starts at pre-release with the Chiaki promo.
Yeah, Guilty Gear is going to transform the meta in some cool ways. Kind of a smaller set, but still very, very impactful. I'm excited for that one. I really like the concept of the Blitz box. So personally, I think, it's been a little bit stale here. We haven't really had many products beyond the Shadow Monarch Experience bundle dropping here recently. And so I'm excited to see the meta shake up from Guilty Gear. But I think we also had a great meta shakeup here today from the ban list. It was very, very diverse. When we show the breakdown tomorrow, we'll see that I don't think we had a single character over 10% of the field. When's the last time we didn't have a character over 10% of the field? That's crazy to be so diverse. We almost never had a repeat character. I think our only repeat character maybe was Mikasa 4, and we have multiples of them in Top Cut, so it makes sense to repeat the Mikasa. So really fun format.
What the main thing is, David, after the ban list, the decks that were supposedly hit on the ban list still showed up on stream and performed well. Godzilla post Titan Cliff still performed extremely well, still had lots of game plan, lots of strategy into the format. Devil Jin had an attack taken out of the deck, right? But after multiple nerfs and stuff, is still very playable. And we saw Sweeping Daggers isn't the defining card of Rodan. I don't think anyone thought it was going to be, but all these decks had something taken away from them, had a really nice attack, but uh they still performed. Even Hanji, who I thought was dead in the water, even Hanji won. Fire Hanji, who I thought was absolutely not playable anymore, showed up, won games on stream, showed how cool stuff was, showed how powerful that kind of stuff was. So, um, interestingly, it's just very interesting that we had a ban list that was probably the biggest, most impactful ever, and it didn't kill all the characters and all the decks that were on the ban list, which I think is absolutely an amazing place to be.
Yeah, yeah. It's okay to be strong, as long
Mhm.
as it's not unfairly strong. So I think there's still some room to debate as to whether some of the lists that we saw today were fair or not fair. But I'll leave that to the viewer to decide. So that is going to do it for us. What a round to finish on. Congratulations to Barlow for taking it down. Congratulations to Kai for giving us some wonderful entertainment here for the final round. Thought both players played pretty exceptional. Was the perfect send off for Swiss. And now tomorrow, going
Hold
in.
hold up, David. I don't want to interrupt you. I'm so sorry. We did
You're good.
actually get confirmation from something. We did send it through to the judges. And unfortunately, during the game of Barlow and Kai, there was an error made, and Barlow has conceded the game due to the mistake. So Barlow realized that he made a mistake during the game. It looks like the speculation was around maximum overhaul. The question was whether or not he played a card from a place other than his hand to get the +3/+3 that he needed to win that game. That's what I believe the discrepancy was, and I never saw the card get played from somewhere other than the hand myself. And so Barlow has realized his mistake is the information I'm getting has conceded the game. So our top eight's going to look a little bit different, unfortunately, but justice was served. We caught the mistake. Barlow is an upstanding guy to concede the game due to the mistake and
I
not
don't
make
know.
things
Now we got
difficult.
Twitch. We got Twitch chat saying there was no mistake. So a little bit of drama here as to what
No,
happened.
I think Twitch. No, Twitch has absolutely confused about the canceling because he absolutely added the stats to it. There was absolutely +3/+3. Whoever is in the chat saying that Barlow didn't make a mistake because the enhance got canceled, there's no way that happened because we watched the stats get added, and the stats only get added if you add the cards to hand, which we watched him add the cards to hand.
Yeah.
So you know, I'm just saying the judges are telling me that the judges took a further review of Barlow and Kai's game, and Barlow has conceded due to a mistake. That's what we know. That's everything else is speculation from that. So I wanted to give accurate information while we were still live here, but it does appear that there was a mistake during the game, and Barlow has conceded due to the mistake. That is the official lining, but that just means you're going to have to check the UGN to figure out what the official standings are once everything gets recorded properly and handled and resolved.
What a finish. What a finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever top eight is, tomorrow's gonna be awesome. if you're watching for the United States, it's gonna be an early morning though. It's probably gonna be, I think it's like a 4 a.m. Central Time start time here if you're watching in the United States. But I think it's worth it. Set your alarm clock early and come watch these players because Scotland's really showing out. This is a great regional. Love the EU region and everything that they do for the game. 75 plus player event today. It's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed commentating today with you, Sam, and with Bromley. Yeah, we'll see you guys in about 12 hours.